Welcome to tonight's live stream. I'm going to get started in a minute. What's going on, Nightingale Winston Nightmare? What's going on, T Mac? What's going on, Steve Awalamac, Gordon Freeman, J May? I'm going to get started with tonight's show. And tonight's topic, which is about the black man's obsession with WAP. Now, this subject is one that I'm quite familiar with because it's something I've had to deal with ever since I was 12 years old and I entered junior high school. Because the main reason why I got a lot of bullying back in junior high school was due to this obsession that these black males have with sex. Now, to many of these males, their primary focus was always about me not having a girlfriend, and that was their main reason for bullying and harassing me. And I found this to be quite disturbing even back when I was 12 years old because this just did not seem like something a normal guy would bully another guy over. I mean, usually guys bully other guys because they are jealous of the fact that they have the nice sneakers or the nice clothes. But to hone in on sex like that, that was really troubling to me at 12 years old. And at 47 now, I look at it and I could just see how some of these black males were starting off with a mental disorder as related to sex and sexuality back then. Because, yes, there is a healthy curiosity as related to sex for your preteen and teenage boys to have. And there's natural exploration of sex for a preteen or a teenage boy. But when I look at a lot of these black males, these from back then, and even the way they're behaving now on social media, I can clearly see that their behavior had some sort of mental disorder as related to it. Because a lot of these males, there clearly is some sort of obsession as related to the getting sex. Because when I look at the way they would want to talk about women, the way they would talk about relationships, the way these guys talk about women and relationships, this, as I see it, just isn't very healthy the way these guys talk about women and the way they actually see women. Because they don't see a woman as a person, they basically see a woman as her genitals, and that's all they see her as. And that's really, as I see it, again, troubling. But when you start to understand the environment that these boys have been raised in, you start to find where their dysfunction starts. Now, I believe that their dysfunction started in that single mother household. And with a lot of these guys coming from that single mother household or that household with a beta male father, they grew up with this whole obsession as related to sex. And that obsession really came from the relationships they saw modeled in front of them because in the single mother household, the woman doesn't really have a stable husband in a single mother household. What they have is a series of boyfriends. And when they have this series of boyfriends, what this models for the boy is dysfunction as related to the model of relationship that they have. And that dysfunction starts with the way his mother is seeing men coming in and out of her life. Moreover, it also is dysfunctional because you see this boy without a male figure there to teach him manhood and to teach him the male social skills that he's going to need to go out here and pursue a healthy relationship. So a lot of these guys, starting out with a foundation rooted in dysfunction because they're not having that man there to show them a model of how to pursue a relationship with a woman or how to treat a woman. And instead of them seeing a healthy relationship, they are seeing their mother commodify sexual relations. And because they're seeing their mother commodify sexual relations with a series of men, they are not seeing a healthy relationship where a man and a woman express love for each other and work together in a partnership with each other. So instead of him seeing this relationship where a man and a woman are sharing love with each other and sex is a part of that loving relationship, what they're seeing is her trading her body parts down between her legs in exchange for commodities from that man, whether it be a two-piece chicken dinner from Church's Chicken or whatever chicken place, chicken wings and fried rice, Gucci bags, expensive shoes, rides in cars. It doesn't matter. What they're seeing is a commodification as related to sexual relations. And at a young age, this is one of the things that leads to them having a dysfunctional foundation, as I see it, as related to sex and sexual relations. And this foundation makes them believe that, as I see it, sex is something that you can barter and exchange for. And it also warps their perception as related to sex and sexual relations because they see it not as something a man and woman do to come together as related to bonding as a couple, but again, they see it as a business exchange for goods and services. And also, when it comes down to a lot of these black beta males, they see it as some sort of commodity as related to building social currency, because a lot of black males who grew up, especially during times like the 1980s, they grew up watching a lot of these movies out here, these teen movies, and a lot of them grew up with these porn movies. And they grew up with this idea that having sex was some way in as related to their manhood, because they thought that this was the gateway to them growing up to becoming a man, not understanding that this was media propaganda meant to socially engineer an idea into men's minds that their manhood was connected to the woman, but that wasn't the case at all, because a man's manhood is about him learning the male life skills and survival skills to eventually become a leader and head of household and a steward under God's natural order. But the corporate America didn't want you to see a black man out here as that kind of man. What they wanted you to see is this black male going out here chasing after the woman, because if the man chased the woman, what happened was he would become a consumer and he would go out here buying consumer products to try to please and appease the woman. So they wanted to socially engineer the idea in the black man's mind that his value as a man was connected to pleasing and appeasing the woman. And a lot of boys grew up with this idea as related to their manhood. And they also grew up with a lot of these R-rated movies and some of these porn movies. And that kind of twisted their adolescence a bit, because what happened was these boys, instead of them having a natural curiosity, this started to really affect them. in these homes, and they started to go from a natural curiosity into this exploration stage where they started going into this obsession. And this obsession with sex is one of the things that really has affected a lot of black males out here, because this obsession is the thing that has these guys where they start to become dysfunctional. Now, the definition of an obsession is